If you are not caring for yourself, you cannot gauge if you're not doing harm. So very important. While self-care seems like this thing that people that are privileged, that are just kind of lazy, that want to do because they can't handle it, self-care is actually very important when we talk about trauma-informed care and healing-centered engagement. Next slide. And here are just some questions for you to ask yourself. I'm not going to read through each of them, but I want you to engage with these questions and to start thinking about them. How are you intentional? How intentional are you about caring for self? What are some of your barriers about being more intentional as you're caring for self? And how often do you engage in your own self-care? Is your self-care, does it promote connection and empowerment? Does it involve you caring for multiple aspects of who you are? I guess I am going to read through each question. And how often do you evaluate the effectiveness of your self-care plan and revise it, right? So if you said, I'm going to walk every day for an hour, but you aren't able to do that, you say, I'm going to revise that and I'm going to walk 4 times a day for 30 minutes, right? You're in control of your self-care plan. Change it as you need. This is a really critical one. How would the youth and the families you work with describe how you care for self? I know that when I've been an executive director, I've been it twice, but at my second organization I worked at, my staff, I was a workaholic and they hated it. And so I was getting massages every 3 weeks and I shared my calendar invite with them, and my massage therapist partnered with me. So she had to actually indicate if I showed up to my massage appointment. And when I didn't, my staff would see it and they would say, oh, we're not going to talk to you today. You did not get your massage yesterday, right? So they were watching me and I was supposed to be this model and this leader. And I was encouraging them to care for self, but then I wasn't doing it all the time myself. So very important to think about the people that we are working on behalf of. How do they think we care about ourselves? Critical point. And I am going to ask you to go to the chat for this question. And this is the most important piece of my whole presentation. I believe my time is coming to an end soon. Is self-care an ethical issue? Yes or no? Is self-care an ethical issue? And I'm going to ask you to, yes. Thank you, Nisha. Yes, is self-care an ethical issue? Yes, Kathleen. Yes, Moira. Yes. Belen said no. Belen then said yes. Khalil said absolutely. Self-care is an ethical issue. If you are not caring for yourself, how can you determine how well you're caring for others? And as a mom, right, and as a person in this world,